Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, you don't think about it instantly, but even when you're in a small space like a airplane cockpit or an airplane set, as it were, stunts still play a factor, and a very important one, to be honest. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals, and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And you know, if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go on a limb and assume that you do, because let's face it, you're listening. And if you are, keep listening and subscribe and hit that. Give us the likes and the push notifications. On all your favorite platforms. We're available everywhere. Places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google. Plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would certainly appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Letterboxd, the TikTok, the Threads, the probably a few other places that I'm forgetting about. At In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film and television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we live to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it that much more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So do us that kindness and pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a fun one. We're a little late with it, but it's a fun one. We're back with Apple TV Plus and Masters of the Air, which again, if you haven't signed up for Apple TV Plus, go do it. Watch that show. Watch all their great shows. They've got great stuff. But it's the show about the World War II pilots. It's fantastic. And we had the unique pleasure of sitting down and talking with the stunt coordinator on the show, the one and only Mr. Lee Morrison, and just ask about the intricacies of, designing stunts in a small space. Because, I mean, for a lot of the heavy stuff, these guys are basically sitting in a cockpit or a cockpit set or an airplane set. And it's not something you would think is conducive to the need for stunt work, but I mean, given the violence and the things that these pilots went through, no, they needed it, and they did a great job with it. And I really had a fascinating talk with Lee just about the ins and outs of stunt work and being involved on a show like this, and really being able to sort of flex creative muscles, being able to pull off some of these amazing things in these, interesting and dynamic spaces. It's one of those things where I've always found that stunt people never get the due that they deserve. But I mean, when you look at all the credits that this guy has, from Masters to Dune to so many of the Bond movies, it's one of those art forms that really, it's got to start being recognized by the Academy, because these stunt performers do such a great job in really adding to the layers of the action and the storytelling in some of our favorite films and TV shows. But I mean, that's my rant for now. Anyway, it's late. I'm tired. You can probably tell. But go check out Masters of the Air, which is on Apple TV Plus now. But first, enjoy our talk with one and only Lee Morrison, because between you and me, it's a pretty darn good one. All right. Well, Lee, obviously, first off, I mean, just thank you so much for the time today. And I mean, congratulations on your work on the show.
Thanks, David. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. And I mean, I guess my first question is, like, walk me through the story of getting pitched to be involved with this project.
Oh, wow. Yeah, good start. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm a huge Band of Brothers fan, and the Pacific. I worked for Stephen when I was a young stunt performer on Munich. I'd gone over to LA to work for Stephen on Indiana Jones. So I'd been around Stephen and performed for him in front of camera, and also coordinated with my old boss, Gary Powell. Years later, I found myself working on a commercial after working on numerous Bond movies, all different genres, and then working on a commercial in Athens and coming down for breakfast, and the director, Carrie Fukunaga, asking me would I be interested in stunt coordinating this new TV series called Masters of the Air. Well, I mean, first and foremost, I almost felt sick, to be honest, with the weight of the responsibility of that. My first reaction, and Carrie knew me well, and I've done a lot of big projects since being a young performer for Stephen, but as a huge Band of Brothers fan, um, to then be asked to then coordinate, which I knew about the third series. I'd known about the Masters of the Air and how long it's been a project in behind the scenes for Stephen, Tom, and Gary Goatsman, all the guys. They're all legends. So my first initial reaction was, right, okay, do I actually want to do this project? Of course, I'd love to do this project. It's a dream come true. But then the weight sinks in, and then you have to really step up to the plate and deliver for all these legends, really, and do the story justice, and make sure the action's on point, make sure we're punctuating amazing storytelling for the directors, and just the weight of responsibility of living up to all the great work that Stephen had done before and all of his war, Saving Private Ryan, it set the bar, and then the Band of Brothers also just incredible. You can watch them now at any time.
Sure.
And they stand up against anything. Just incredible. So yeah, just amazing honor, a huge amount of work. And I'm just so pleased that people are enjoying it, and we've done these incredibly brave young men and people that served it at that time justice, really.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, it's one of those things, and I mean, I'm almost ashamed to admit this, but I mean, initially I was like, okay, where's the actual stunt and this going on? And
Yeah,
then it was like,
great.
wait a minute, a third of the show is shot on a soundstage that is violently
Yeah,
shaking. That's got to be the
yeah.
stunts in and of itself.
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact you just said that, because I've got my job right. It shouldn't be stunty. It shouldn't be. We're not doing stunts for the sake of stunts. It's telling each character's journey inside that aircraft. It should, when it becomes them quiet moments, the flak stops. Then the fighters arrive, or the flak is the aircraft shaking violently. Then it's being ripped apart by these 30mm shells. The horrific injuries these guys suffered, minus 30, frostbite, all these things are all related to my department. We sit with the directors, we sit with the producers, and luckily they felt like they're in safe hands. And I'd always try to make sure that we just did the right thing each time for each part of the action.
It almost feels like it would be a challenge on your end because, I mean, historically, when people think of stunts in action, there's space, but really, like I said, you're doing it in this metal tube.
Yeah, absolutely. I love a challenge. I mean, I spent my whole career, coming through the ranks as a young performer, working on 5 Bond movies under some of the best stunt coordinators and second directors in the world, and under Steven Spielberg. You apply every detail, rehearse everything, put it on camera, rehearse it. What does it look like? Does it look real? Do we believe it? Does it look like we're contrived or making a stunt or making or performing something that looks like it's just action for the sake of it? That's exactly what we were not going to do. And that's what we've learned from Stephen. Look at Band of Brothers. Look at Band of Brothers. Look at the energy in that handheld shots. And look at Saving Private Ryan. It's brilliant. It's still some of the best references you can show to any movie makers right now as far as bullet hits. It's fantastic.
Now, I mean, I can imagine you have to work closely with the actors as well because there isn't necessarily a cut to a wide shot of something violent happening. No. Well, you really got to be in there with them. Like, how on board was the entire ensemble to really be essentially be shaken up like they are in these incredible sequences?
Yeah, again, I mean, just going back to what I said about once you sign up and you get asked to work on a project like this, you're all in. Everyone's all in. Every member of the crew, whether you're the cast in front of the camera, or you're a cameraman operating on a 360 moving gimbal, or you're a spark rigging a light, or anyone is just so invested in doing the best job they can. And for the young cast in this, they were fantastic. They were in the big flight suits. The costumes were incredible. Colin Atwood, Oscar winner, designing each costume bespoke for all of the cast. They had cooling suits to keep them cool when we were working with all the big, the 270, the 360 volumes. So hot, David. So, it was a real challenge. The planes that were built by Stuart Heath and Neil Corbould, again, Neil Corbould, Oscar winner. The cast was just incredible. So the crew, you had the best of the best there. So it's fantastic.
How does the job change for you when you're dealing with, I guess, I mean, stuff that actually happened, like real world situations versus something that's more fantasy based?
Yeah, I lost count of the times I'd sit there early mornings. I'd go in before the crew. You know, we'd have a 6:30 crew call, and I'd be in from 4:30 in the morning. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. thinking, right, today's the day. I've got Quinn inside the fuselage. I'm in the waste compartment. I'm rotating the waste. I've got a guy stuck in the ball turret. I'd go in early and just sit there, surrounded by magazines and shelves all around the floor from the previous day shooting before the art department were there, or props or anyone. And you just think, oh my God, this must have been absolutely horrifying to be got what I'm about to shoot today, because I directed second unit for the whole 9 episodes, would be just you could just it made my job really easy. Although we had a lot of pressure for all the units to deliver for all the directors and the producers, but you'd sit there and actually you'd resort back to thinking, wow, I've just got to make sure that we tell the story of these young airmen, that we're telling the real stories. And I used to have them moments every day, David. I'd walk in, I'd finish a day shooting, and it wouldn't be really high fives. There was never a day of people would be high fiving and
Right.
Yeah, great job, everyone. We did a great job, but we'd all look at each other and going, wow, that was just so. We were telling a story of some 9 men that are 10 guys that have just lost their lives. So it was, and I always remember that, from even working back with Stephen before and listening to the stories about, when he was doing Saving Private Ryan and all of the history that I've had to go back and research. You got to remember, we're being paid to document a story and do it justice. And these were the real men and women during the war. So
what got you into this side of the business?
Sorry?
What got you into the stunt world?
Oh, well, I was very fortunate, actually. I got brought in it wasn't a war movie, but I got brought into double a very famous actress, Angelina Jolie, on Lara Croft, for one of the world's best second unit directors and stunt coordinator, Simon Crane. And then Simon was very kindly took me under his wing, and then taught me the ropes. And then I progressed into working with people like Gary Powell, Vic Armstrong, all the greats, and all of my American colleagues as well, working for Stephen. But I just took to it quite well. I love movies. I love to just submerge myself, and I seem to have a fairly decent imagination for it.
Love it. Now, I mean, I'm curious because especially in the past maybe 20 or so years, it feels like we've had this real elevation of sort of the understanding of what stunt work is and how much artistry is brought into it all. And I mean, how have you seen the business evolve since you've come in? Because every time I've gotten to talk to someone who works in stunts, they've always had a real appreciation of cinema as opposed to just sort of staging the bit, as it were,
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, to be honest, going back to me as a kid, I think all of us, I was a kid that, didn't particularly do that great at school, but I love stories. I love them. My imagination seemed to run wild when I was a kid. And even before my first day on a film set, I'd got brought in, taken into a commercial, and then working with people again, like, just talking about Master of the Air, but Steven Spielberg, and being on set with him and listening to his stories when I was working for him on Indiana Jones, and just watching the DP's light a set, and watching the production designer draw a set on a piece of paper. And then in 3 months' time, after a scout at a location, we walk in and it's just this wonderland that's been created. That seeing the director light up when he's been handed it over, and then to see what we're about to film on it. I mean, it's fantastic. And I've been fortunate. I'm 27 years in now. So to come through my career and be considered slightly old school, but still be able to work with a 360 volume and shoot plates and design action that has become quite visual and visual effects driven. I think I've had a great education from the masters, i.e., Stephen, there's Martin Campbell, all these guys that direct old school live action, and then now work with the new greats that work with the new technologies as well, including what we've done to now with 360 volumes and industrial light and magic. So I've had a good grounding.
Yeah, I mean, there's something that really doesn't get appreciated enough, just the importance of conveying emotion through stunt. And I mean, I can imagine, like you said, working with people like Steven, just like would be open up volumes for you as a performer, just to be able to sort of learn how to do it right.
Oh, 100%. And there's no one that's probably trailblazed that more than him. There's some greats, and obviously Clint Eastwood as well. Some of the, these are the people that you look at their movies and you look at the reactions of some of the stuff that Clint's done, but you look at Stephen with and what he did with Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan, with Simon Crane, who stunt coordinated that. It's the reactions are perfect. They're fantastic because they wouldn't be over the top like dare I say it, a Hollywood reaction. Some movies, suit that, but when you're telling a true story, it needs to be a true reaction, and that transfers over into true crime movies. The great movies shot in New York during the 70s. Look at Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, things like that. Sometimes less is more, David, and that's what I think we're going back to now. And we've seen the genres of, and Marvel makes some great products as well.
For sure, yeah.
The superhero side of things. Maybe now, it's when you see you're depicting a true event. That's when you have to really, really be on point with what you're putting on camera.
Now, I mean, just to put a bow on this, I'm kind of curious. Think back to your younger days. What was the first thing that you saw where maybe you had a bulb go off in your head, where you understood the emotional impact of a stunt on the story?
Yeah, God, there's lots, I suppose. God, I remember watching, probably way, way too young. I remember watching Deer Hunter and thinking, wow, I just like gripped, and it was a very, very heavy story.
Yeah.
But just and then seeing the Vietnam section, when they're in the jungle, and going, oh my God, and that was, when someone picks a flashback into their what they were going through.
Right.
So for me, I grew up being sport with some of the great movies like that, and then just being able to then listen to what they can do, what these geniuses as directors can do with a score, and just the building of tension. It's fantastic. I can't. I'm reading a script at the moment for an amazing director for a project in New York that's true life about the '77 blackout. Mate, I can't actually. Don't quote me on that, please. But again, it's just having these incredible young directors coming through that are applying what they've learned from the greats before them. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to finish my career working on, these kinds of projects, working for what I class as the legends of my time.
Well, Lee, man, I think you've done that and then some, because I mean, again, this is a hell of a show that I was gripped by with minute one. I mean, it's intense.
Good.
It's a hell of a ride. And I mean, in all fairness, I think we all saw Deer Hunter too young, but I mean, I'm glad it's formed so many of us just going forward.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work. And I mean, honestly, I can't wait for Dune as well, man. You're
I
killing
hope
it
you enjoy
lately.
that. Talking another great, Denis Villeneuve, a genius. So I'm so lucky I get to work with all these incredible people.
Perfect. All right. Thanks again, Lee.
No problem. Lovely to meet you, David. Take care.
All righty. And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.